All right, it is Wednesday, May 20th, and we are again here for This Fan's View live, virtually live anyway. And we got Carl, John, Lauren Anthony, myself, and back for another time, Steve Harris. So,
round three.
So we will kick it over to John to give us the results for number 10 and move on to number 11. What's up, John?
There we go. We had an amazing turnout this week. I think everybody's liking the new poll that we have.
Works a lot better.
Yes, we had 603 votes this week, which is amazing. And of course, nobody listened to me, but they all went with Darren Dalton. Darren Dalton was the winner here, pretty much in the landslide a little bit. John LeClaire hung in there. He had 177 votes, and Dalton had 290. My guy, he finished third place with Cheeks with 61 votes, and Deshaun Jackson pulled up the rear for probably the first time ever in his career. He pulled up the rear in a race with 16 votes. And then we had Larry Bowa came in with the most write-ins with 46 votes. So we had a nice, very nice turnout.
Wow, so Bowa got more votes than Jackson.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did. Which I mean, Bowa's a mainstay here in Philadelphia. So I mean, it was between him and Dalton for the Phillies guys, and that was a tough decision.
So did you see the suggestion on there to put all the winners in a poll and see who comes out first?
Well, yeah, as far as doing he wanted to do a bracket.
Bracket, right?
Yeah, suggestion, which we'll look into. Doing afterwards. We'll see what we got, depending on what other options we have going on with our craft going on here throughout the store or the show.
Right.
So we'll have a lot of games going on once this one's over, but this one's long from over. But tonight's matchup's going to be a really good one. We got for the Phillies, Jimmy Rollins. For the Eagles, Carson Wentz. For the Flyers, Don Selesky, and Caldwell Jones for the Sixers. So we got we're gonna have fun with this one tonight. It's gonna be interesting to see.
John, you want them to wait on voting instead of commenting because now they can just do it in the poll right after the show.
Right. It'll make it a lot easier. We'll do it once the show's over. We'll put the poll up there, and since that's worked out so well, we'll continue with that, and that'll be that way everybody can see the voting going on. So yeah, I think this one's going to be interesting. You got your Jimmy Rollins who's done it for a while now, and your Carson Wentz that is the newcomer. Whether you like him or not, in some situations, whether he's healthy enough.
Lauren. I didn't say anything.
No, I think he was referring to you.
No, I just was saying. Because he does have. Wentz is going to have his positive.
Hey, what I missed?
He's got his guys. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to be there for the Super Bowl run. Which would have made this even a little bit more tougher of a competition. Yeah, we'll see. It should be interesting. So who do you have, Mario?
I'm going Rollins.
Rollins?
Yeah.
Go. All right. Steve, what do you got?
Rollins.
Yep.
Going Rollins.
All right. Lauren, who do you have?
Rollins.
Anthony?
Same, with a close number 2 minute bowl right in.
You don't get to vote and have a write-in.
Close number 2.
well, that's good. And then, Carl, who do you have?
It's Happy Wednesday, so I got to go with Carson Wentz.
Oh.
There you go.
By the way, top five quarterback in all of the NFL. So just saying.
Just saying, exactly. Like I said, that's why there's going to be a little bit of discussion back and forth between him and Rollins. But
Rollins has gone out every
If this was based on championships, Carson wouldn't be in the discussion, though.
And if J-Roll had run out every ball, I'd have voted for him.
Oh, boy.
No comment.
Yeah, but I will take Jimmy Rollins tonight. Go with my baseball allegiance, as you can
See, we could have all been in agreement for the first time. It could have been a unanimous vote, but no.
That's why he did it.
Well,
I can be bought.
No.
If we
Your
had
allegiance
money, we
to-
might think
to
about
Wentz
it.
is something I can't afford.
I mean, Wentz is definitely got. Wentz definitely has, his good qualities as well. I mean, he's definitely, like Carl said, top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now.
I mean, I realize we asked people not to comment because they could vote after the, on the poll, but not one person has said Wentz. I'm just going. I mean, Don Selesky even got a vote, so.
And Konechny got a vote too.
And he wasn't even on the board.
We got Van Brocklin. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
he was in there. He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But
Santa's
Tom, you can't
telling
vote
Lauren,
twice.
Santa's telling Lauren not to worry about anything. 11 will be available next year, so we can have another guy to vote for.
There you go.
I have nothing to do with that. I have no.
No, positively not.
Well, but if
Another
you listen to Peterson yesterday, Jalen Hurts isn't playing much this year, so our second round pick's going to be a little bit wasted. But he has a lot to learn.
And that's if they play at all. So,
Well, that's true too. That is true as well.
we got a long time before that starts, and things might change.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, I don't think in this one you can go against the MVP of the league and 08 World Series champion. So I think Rollins should handle this one.
Bob had a good comment there. Said if we can't be unanimous on number 11, we never will be.
But what other ones are going to be
Tough.
like that?
Unanimous? Probably 13. Might have a chance with Will.
Well, yeah, that might be one.
Because we might actually get Carl to vote Sixers in that one.
I don't know. He used his Sixers pick, and
What about when you get to 16 with Clark?
Oh well, definitely Carl will be voting that one.
I mean, who's going to go up
But
against?
who else do we have at 16?
Oh, we got Cesar Hernandez will be up there.
oh well.
Oh, definitely going to pick him over
Gotta go with
Bobby
that.
Clark. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with Freddie Galvis with going up against Will. It's going to be tough.
Brian Dawkins, Mike Schmidt.
Yeah.
But I don't know how
Bonnie-
that's unanimous.
That won't be
88.
unanimous.
I mean,
Well,
these people are jumping right to 88 and 92.
Right. I mean, you're going to
They
have
don't like the show a little bit.
But
trying to tell us to move on.
20 also isn't even going to be unanimous because you got Dawkins, you got Schmidt,
Right.
and all of us are going to feel different ways.
Yeah.
And then you got Bobby Jones as well.
Oh, well, I mean, Bobby Jones.
Hey, I mean, Carl's going to be loving his Sixers by that time, and he'll be on the Bobby Jones
How
bandwagon.
about Doug Collins? You skipped right over Doug Collins.
Doug Collins. I'm sorry, it was Doug Collins. It was Doug Collins. See, I knew you were the Sixers guy. You would have taken care of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
You guys are putting me to sleep with all this. All this.
All right. Speaking of basketball, since we have Steve tonight,
Good
we're gonna
segue.
do for a little bit. We're going to go back to the Last Dance.
You don't have to go back.
Oh, no, we got
would
to
you
go
like-
back because there's some controversy now.
Yep.
Scottie Pippen is apparently upset. Horace Grant's apparently upset. I think Horace Grant did actually do an interview where he vocalized that he was upset. I don't think Scottie Pippen has done anything publicly yet in his disapproval, but apparently he's upset that Jordan called him selfish about the contract in 97. So what are your guys' thoughts on kind of how people were portrayed? They're saying that Jordan was obviously made to look like the greatest, and everybody else kind of took a back seat to that. So do you feel Scottie Pippen was kind of portrayed in a negative way, or are you feeling like that somebody's kind of grasping at nothing here? Anybody? Nobody? We can
No.
go on to the next topic.
No. I was going to say I don't think he was portrayed badly. Just because you point out the fact that he got surgery instead of being there for his teammates. If surgery could have been done during the summertime, where it wouldn't have affected his basketball, just because you're telling the truth. I mean, obviously he was having issues with the Bulls ownership, and that's why he did do that, trying to hold out, and unfortunately it backfired on him because a little bit maybe because the team did okay without him, not as good as they should have, but and then it got shown on the tape that he was pulled out. But I also think they also showed at the end in the last one where he's in the final game in '98, and he's hurt and he's playing through it as much as he could, going back and forth to the locker room, getting I guess it was like an electric shock into his body to get himself ready to play. I mean, that showed that he was a warrior. So, and plus he was also shown well in other things. So I don't think it was too bad, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
How about when he didn't want to go in the game though in that one game?
Well, but again, it just because you're pointing out things that were facts. I mean, how can you say that?
Yeah,
I mean, that's been all common knowledge as well. So I mean, it's.
I personally don't think they held anything back. I mean, I think there were times where Jordan didn't look good either. So I don't know that anybody was kind of was in the clear on this one. There were times where each one of them had their moments. Scottie Pippen chose to have that surgery when he did, and then he was out all those games. But at the end of the day, he's the one that signed that contract, and then he was mad about it. But, he signed it because he didn't know what was to come. And him and his family needed the money. So he signed it, and, he was hoping to renegotiate, but, that didn't happen, and then he got bitter from it.
Well, if that was today, that would have never happened. I mean, they would have renegotiated to keep Scottie Pippen. That's utterly ridiculous. So, if he's got to be selfish because the last year he didn't want to play some of those times, and
right.
I might have been selfish too after that point. I mean, you're one of the top 5 players in the game and you can't get paid. That's ridiculous.
Sure.
Carl's got something.
Do you think what were there 10 episodes, right? Do you think we're building a little something for a few more episodes?
Not with Michael Jordan. He's said and done. Those guys can talk all they want till they're blowing the lips. I mean, they're gonna Horace Grant's gonna say what he wants, and which is all he said was you called me you were a snitch because you talked about the guys doing drugs and whatever. He didn't name names. He didn't say who.
Right.
Those guys can talk forever. I don't think Michael Jordan would do that documentary again. He said his part. He's done.
So where did the controversy come out? Was it something else they had? Was it the thing Sue's talking about last night?
Yeah, apparently Michael Jordan also talked with Stephen A. Smith about just different aspects in the controversy and whatnot. That I don't believe was aired publicly. But then I guess Stephen A. Smith has kind of been fueling the fire here, which, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, apparently all these guys are coming forward.
Let's dig into it. What's he leading up to? What does he know that everybody else doesn't know?
Nothing. They're trying to just like
they just don't have anything to talk about.
Just like Tiger King. Then they want to have 48 episodes to keep it going. There's nothing else to talk about, so they just keep talking. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan, he's done. They wrapped that. They're not interviewing him again. If Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen choose to do additional interviews and they want to make something of that, but I don't see them taking this documentary in that direction. I think this is
it's all a scam.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
If you saw the article today, that guy Scott Burrell, who was on the team 97, 98, he's on Cameo right now for $100 trying to make some money. So they're all
right.
Everyone else is just trying to make some money off of it. So they're going to say whatever they want so they could write a book but we should be happy Michael Jordan even did it. $2.3 billion. He's done. He's not saying another thing.
Yeah, and they only projected him to make, I think, 2 or 3 million off of this documentary, which he was donating to charity anyway.
Right.
But $2 or $3 million to Michael Jordan is
Nothing.
a 20.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if they're just trying to drag it out for something to talk about. Was kind of my thought on that. It was just a topic at hand that they could discuss, but. That is what it is, but all 10 episodes are now available on ESPN's app, so you can see all of them at one time. I don't know when it airs, because won't it go to Netflix?
I'm not sure.
I think it eventually makes its way to Netflix. I think it's a combo production between ESPN and Netflix, so then they should all be available on there at some point. But speaking of documentaries, the last time we talked about who we would want to see in a documentary, and I didn't know if you guys were aware of the ones coming up or not.
Yes, a couple of those ones that were good ones. I actually forgot about the Sammy Sosa and McGuire one. That one looks like it could be.
That should be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there's a Lance Armstrong one airing Sunday at 9.
Right. That was the one that when Carolyn mentioned that as well. That was
Yeah.
That was.
Is that just a one episode?
No, I think that's a 2-part one.
2-part one? Okay.
And then because they got into it pretty deep with the with his doping and that kind of stuff as well.
Right.
So
I think there's gonna be a lot revealed in that nobody knew, or kind of knew, but kind of expected, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a Bruce Lee one.
That is interesting because I'm still curious as to how he actually died. I know he got shot on set, but they're saying it was a hit from the Chinese mafia. So
really,
yes, maybe you'll find out. I don't know.
Yeah, apparently the Yakuza had it out for him for some reason.
Huh.
So.
And then the Roy Halladay documentary is set to air May 29th, which is a Friday at 5 p.m. on ESPN, which I thought was a very strange time for them to.
What is that?
To air that. It's a Friday.
Is it like a holiday? Why is it at 5 o'clock?
No, it's not.
No, the holiday's this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. There must be a reason behind it, but I don't know what that is.
Right.
Most people are home.
You got the Dropkick Murphy concert at Fenway Park that night, so they got to get that in beforehand.
Why didn't they just pick another day
or a Sunday?
Well, the 29th is
and Bruce Springsteen, right, Steve?
Yes, sir.
The 29th is the anniversary of his.
No, I'm good.
Oh, there we go.
The 29th is the anniversary of his no-hitter. That's why.
But why 5 o'clock?
A perfect game, actually.
He just told you the Dropkick Murphys are on at 6 with Bruce Springsteen.
Is it a 1 hour thing? I know it's an E60, so does that stand for 60 minutes?
Usually.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, anyways, so there's your documentary input for the night. And if anyone's looking for, speaking of Bruce Lee, when you were talking about how he was murdered, last night's Dark Side of the Ring,
great.
The Vice channel was about Owen Hart.
Oh, really?
And how he died and the backstory on that. His wife is heavily involved with the interview and telling the story and all that stuff, and kind of how the family was torn apart when she wanted to sue them. So it was a good one if anybody, likes wrestling but isn't obsessed with it like myself.
I still remember that happening. If I remember correctly, it was during a pay-per-view event.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what his character was. I know Frank will know. But he was supposed to be dropping down from the rafters, and it broke. I think he hit his head on the turnbuckle.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was bad because when they came back, there was still like dried blood all over the canvas. It was pretty bad. But
yeah, so they get into all that, and it's pretty.
Blue Blazer.
Yep. So if anyone's looking for something interesting, but on to part 3 of our sports memorabilia discussion. So last Thursday, we asked all of you to post your favorite autograph pieces, what they mean to you, the stories behind them. So we enjoyed looking at all of those. I had sent over a few of my favorites to the guys earlier today. So Thank you for everyone who sent that in. I think the one thing that I took away from it was most of the pieces were, they either ran into the player, just happened to kind of be in the same spot as them, like Sean with his Cal Ripken Relay for Life shirt. But a lot of them were personal things. A guy with the book that he was given from his grandfather who hung out outside of Shibe Park and got all these autographs. So they all seemed like they had some type of memory behind them. So did you guys get a chance to take a look at those pieces kind of that some folks had submitted?
Yeah. I'm actually looking at them now too, just going refreshing my memory.
Some very cool stuff. I mean,
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff that people choose to collect, but also a lot of things that people have handed down to them, from their parents or grandparents, and that's how a lot of the collecting gets started, because your father's father used to do it, and we see a lot of that nowadays, at the signings, where you got this 6-year-old kid, with his father, and then behind him is his father. So there's 3 generations, and they're just trying to, enjoy a couple hours together. And that's what makes collecting memorabilia and making memories, with friends and family. So, but yeah, a lot of that stuff, but then, you have today's, world, that one card that we were talking about that has 4 or 5 autographs on it, and it's almost like one from every sport, all the big names. Good stuff. Just very interesting stuff. But just, it doesn't have to be Philadelphia related, but
right.
For us, it ends up that's the way it is. I got a question for you guys, because we've all kind of filtered into the show some way or another through the store or friends. And who's the number one celebrity? Doesn't have to be a sports athlete. Generally, it probably will be. Who do you recognize as the guy that you enjoyed meeting and getting an autograph the most? Who is that one? Who is that one person? Let's, John. We'll start with John.
I am going to say Jay Bruce. When he was at the store, he was very interactive. Talking with us, being honest with us. Getting on me a little bit with the as well.
You have a way of bringing that on with guys.
Oh, well, of course. I mean,
you always ask the right questions.
Of course, you got to put them on the spot every once in a while. He was very cool, and I also thought JT Realmuto was the same way. Both of them were very open, talking with us, and very cool. I mean,
Steve Harris, what do you got?
You got to come back to me. Can you do that?
Yeah.
I told you he was sleeping, didn't I?
Because I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, I've been with you at the store how long?
Right.
Long time.
Very long time.
And I'm running through my head here all the players that have been in there, and I'm having a hard time coming up with one.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
as a kid, you ran into Richie down at the vet. You know what I mean? As a kid.
Yeah,
that's cool stuff.
Yeah, right. Richie and Schmidt meeting them down there.
See,
but then I'm thinking, well, you brought in back in the first time you brought in Chuck Bednarik. And I'm like, or Steve Van Buren. I mean, I didn't know who those guys were. I didn't see them play, but I heard a lot about them. And then to actually meet a guy like that, you're kind of like in awe of it,
Yep.
And Yeah, I don't know that I could pick one.
All right, we'll get back to you. Maybe
Yeah.
down the road, maybe week 56 or something. We'll get back to you.
But if you're going to say who you met like out in public, Harry Kalas would be one as well. I was fortunate enough. My sister knows Tom Brooks, Brian or Mr. Brooks. I forget his Rob Brooks. Rob Brooks. He worked with the Phillies, and he's with the guys that does all the announcing. He was able to sneak us up to the booth and see Harry Kalas went on his break there, and just that 5 minutes that we were able to be in the room with him, it was like your pins and needles, and almost like what do I say? And he was like the nicest. The boys were probably about 4 or 5 years old at the time, and to get to meet him, that was pretty special as well.
Mario?
So I'm going to break it up into 2 parts: at your store and outside that. So at your store, it's a toss-up between Charlie Manuel and Dick Vermeil. Both very cool people and both very willing to talk. Dick Vermeil, of course, super nice guy. Charlie Manuel, sit there and talk to you forever, especially if you're talking baseball. Outside, Harry Kalas, met him at Harrah's when they were opening up. The woman, they were opening up the high roller section, and Ernie and I were there. The woman comes up and she goes, "Mr. Kalas, I think these people want to talk to you." And we're like, "Sure, why not?" Sat there and talked to him for like 15, 20 minutes, and he had no problem just sitting there bullshitting with us. And the other one was, believe it or not, Tommy Green. So we were on our way to a Phillies game, sitting at Xfinity Live, having dinner, and we see him walking into a restaurant with his wife, and she heard us say something. 15 minutes later, he comes out of the restaurant, sits in our booth with us, and talked with us for about a half hour. So just super nice guy. And I think this is just before he signed a contract to do the post game. So I think that's why he was in town. So, but just very, very cool.
Lauren?
This is also kind of a tough one. I think I have my answer though, but I'm going to give 2 folks honorable mention. Jason Kelsey came to the store 2 days after the Super Bowl parade. Is that right, Dad, if I have those numbers?
Yep.
And he was just very fun and personable. Like, he is exactly what you would think he would be in person. Like, it's not an act. It's not him in front of the camera or anything like that. The guy who randomly walks into the UPS store to fax over his contract to the Eagles is the same guy I saw in the store 2 days after the Super Bowl parade. So I appreciated kind of just his down-to-earth nature, the time he took with each person. He was just a lot of fun. Gordie Howe was definitely one for me, just because it felt like you were in the presence of greatness, kind of. He's probably, I want to say, maybe one of the only guys we've had that's in the discussion of the greatest player of all time in his sport. I know there's a lot of conversation about that, but with that aside, to kind of have somebody in the store that people say he was the greatest hockey player of all time is fascinating. But for me, it's kind of an odd pick, but I'm going to go Carlos Ruiz, only because we had him a few times. And the first time we had him to the last time we had him, his English improved so much. And you just felt so bad for him the first time he was there, because he wanted to embrace the fans. He wanted to talk to the fans, and he wanted to interact with them. And he couldn't. He struggled with just simple terms, and you just felt so bad for him. But then the last time we had him, he was able to interact with folks, and he just seems like such a genuine guy that really appreciates what life has given him. Being able to come from Panama to being a major league catcher to winning a World Series, being a part of the no-hitter, all that stuff that he's been a part of. He just seems genuinely appreciative of what this American dream has given him, essentially. So I'm going to go with him. But as Mario kind of mentioned, I'm going to also talk about outside of the store. And obviously, I have to mention my time with the Hamels Foundation, being around Cole Hamels pretty privately during his fundraisers. And then, of course, that takes me around the other guys. So I remember fundraising events with Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins and Jonathan Papelbon and just all these guys. And they're just so fascinating to be around in sort of a social situation with their friends that are also their teammates, because they just act like a bunch of guys. And so it's fascinating to see that element of it.
So was Papelbon crazy?
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. I mean, I only was with him on a handful of occasions. My mom got a photo with him at one of the events we were at, and he looks crazy in it because his eyes are like bug-eyed. He looks crazy. But, he was nice. He was a nice guy for the most part. But, yeah, just a little different.
So I will tell you my favorite Papelbon moment was when he was with Washington, and I was not a Bryce Harper fan at all, and he just took Harper and strangled him. Sorry, that was my favorite moment for Papelbon. Since then, I've changed my views on Harper. So Carl, who do you got? Oh, Anthony. We'll do Anthony.
I want to go to AC next.
I mean, I don't have one specific person that stands out where I was really like starstruck or anything. But a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we were in Pittsburgh and they had a show, and it had Andy Van Slyke, who I grew up watching, I really enjoyed, and then Bill Mazeroski was there, and Kent Tekulve. So it kind of took over all the years that they, had some good teams in the one room, which was really, fun. They were all very talkative and very nice. Growing up, we go to a lot of those different mall shows living in New York State, and so you met like Phil Rizzuto and Walt Frazier and all these guys, and they were just super nice and down to earth. And sometimes it would be a busy weekend. There's a lot of people, and you didn't have time to talk. But there's other times where it's you and Walt Frazier for 20 minutes, and you could talk to them for a long time, which is really cool. And much like the hockey players that we always talk about. Back in the day with the old, pro wrestlers, they were certainly down to earth as well, and you could talk to those guys for 20 minutes if there's not a huge line or anything. So not one specific person, but more of like the memories and the chats you had with the guys.
Very cool. So mine come down to two, and they're going to be two that you guys probably wouldn't have even thought that I would throw their names out there tonight, but I'll start with Chuck Bednarik, great football player. You're talking about the greatest of all time in Philadelphia. Best two-way player in football. 60 champion. Had him to the store a number of times. Good days, bad days. We saw. We all saw both sides of them. But I think that the one gentleman that I was starstruck the most when we had him in the store was Bruno Sammartino. You're talking about the living legend, a wrestling icon, and here he is. He flies in from Pittsburgh that morning, comes in, in his suit and tie, briefcase. You never knew it was Bruno Sammartino. It just absolutely, Steve, you were there, right?
Yes, sir. Cauliflower ear and all.
He shared stories with us, stayed so much longer than, we had anticipated. Just an absolute gentleman. You couldn't see the wrestling side of him as he sat there at the table signing autographs. Right. He stood up for everybody, took pictures, whatever you wanted him to do. But those are my two. Chuck Bednarik, only because we had him a number of times, and just a great Eagles player. I don't know if we'll ever have another player quite like him in Philly sports. Just an absolute rock of a player. And Bruno, I guess you guys didn't see that coming, right?
No, that is so far out of left field. I don't even know what it's called.
Bernie's going to be crushed.
Bernie, Clark, the LCB line. I mean,
Reggie, your buddy
right?
Reggie.
Right? right?
You went with a wrestler.
Can I share the Chuck Bednarik, Bill Berge story with you?
Go right
Yeah.
ahead.
I had the two of them together, right? I thought, what a cool signing. So Chuck got there, he was early. He sat down at the table, and in walks Berge, and he takes one look, and he sees Chuck Bednarik, and he goes, "Oh, I see they brought the second greatest linebacker in Eagles history here today." And I looked at Bill. I thought it was a joke, right? I thought he was kidding. I thought they'd stand up and hug. And I find out later on that Bill Berge could not stand Chuck Bednarik.
Wow.
So if you ever decide to bring two people together, make sure you check with both of them.
That was
Because
that was an awkward 2 hours.
Is that an insider
about the
tip for shows?
I'm telling you. And the other one was Tommy McDonald and Ken Iman. That was another one. I'm like, don't these guys love each other? I mean, where's brotherhood? But anyway, my hockey guys will understand.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I mean, you still picked a wrestler.
But it's Bruno.
Fascinating.
It's Bruno. It's
So-
Bruno.
I know who it is. It's just fascinating. I mean, you're the hockey guy. You love your hockey guys. I mean, I almost picked Lappy, but I went with Carlos instead.
Wow.
But I never thought Bruno. Learn something new every day.
So Bruno used to live in the same town my grandmother and my mother grew up in like northeast or western Pennsylvania, place called Coltmont, which is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So
Sounds like if it's the Northeast or the West.
I don't know. It's up near Scranton, put it that way. So, but so Sue said she had some input on her two picks were Darren Dalton and Gordie Howe. So you want to bring her in and have her tell her story?
No, she was basically saying, no, I don't. She's busy watching Family Feud. If you want her input was Darren Dalton was her favorite, and Gordie Howe. That was her input.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she don't like us anymore. She used to sit in on the show, but now she don't like us.
She's over it.
Ryan Hannigan thought you were going to mention Hulk.
Oh, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. Yeah,
We need to get him on the show.
Yeah,
Who, Ryan.
sure. Yeah. Could you make that happen, Mario? And then while you're at it, see if you can negotiate a signing at the store.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's out of the story. He was pretty special.
Yep. So going off of that a little bit, if there was one piece of memorabilia that you could own, what would that be? All right, Dad, we'll start with you. Go ahead.
He owns everything.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's not true.
That's
The
not
stuff he
true.
doesn't own, I can't afford. So
Right.
A piece of Bertie Perrant game used something, whether it be a blocker, a glove,
Just text them.
his
What do you mean?
pad.
Yeah, really.
I mean, none of that's
Okay.
ever come through your store. There hasn't been a game used stick.
Yeah, but ugly ones. See, I don't want one all. I don't want one. No, I want a decent one.
Okay,
Yeah, game
you
game
are
use
full of
stick would be
surprises
nice.
tonight.
Why? What's that? What's the
Because I
surprise
thought you
there?
were going to say like a Babe Ruth ball or a Mike Trout ball or like stuff I've heard you talk about.
Well,
Bernie
yeah,
Perrant,
but-
that almost seems. I mean, I'll just call Jeannie when the show's over and see what she's got in the basement. I mean,
I don't
Alright.
think he I don't think he has much. I really don't.
And on that note, just to update everybody, Jeannie actually accepted my friend request.
oh,
So-
thank God.
But Bernie still,
nice.
Enough time.
but Bernie still
There you
hasn't though.
Well,
Bernie's
you know.
Bernie's still on the shelf. He's
Oh.
still hasn't. We're working on it.
He still doesn't remember that you put his furniture together. Come on.
Right. I know.
He still gets you confused with that other guy.
Right. Oh yeah, it happens. That happens.
John?
Mine for me, I have a lot of stuff as well, but I would say the one thing I don't have is a game used Mike Schmidt baseball bat autographed. Would be one of the things that I've always missed out on getting throughout my years collecting, and now they're getting a little bit more expensive. But he was my guy growing up that I liked. And probably that would be something like that would be cool.
Mario?
What's the going rate on them bats now, John? Sorry, Mario, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Don't worry
I'm
about
not
it.
sure. I mean, you know how the hobby is. It's all up and down now everywhere. But yeah, I don't know. I've seen them $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 bucks.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
So, sports related, it would have to be for me anything game used from Hank Aaron. He was my guy growing up, and I remember watching him break the home run record. Not sports related, anything from either Frank Sinatra or Tony Bennett.
Okay. Steve, we're going to you, but we also have to circle back to your player. Don't think I forgot.
I was hoping you did.
Nope.
All right. I don't know that I could pick one player.
All right.
Just because I've been fortunate enough, kind of like what Anthony said. Like, I've sat with probably 500 guys for 2 hours.
Right.
So you got to see a little bit of not so friendly guys, a little bit of very friendly guys. I think I've been fortunate to meet a bunch of guys and converse with them for a couple hours. I mean, Roy Halladay, Dawkins, Carlton, Clark, Bednarik, Van Buren. I mean, the list just goes on. And I don't know that I could just pick one. And even just outside the store to meet, like Ashburn, but some of these, Lappy, like you said, the guy remembers you from the store, even when you see him up in Canada. And,
Steve, most of the guys that you've sat with, would you say they run friendly, not so friendly, or kind of just down the middle? Like speak when spoken to, but not overdoing it?
I'd say majority of them, more than not, I would say more than majority of them were friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because people are, but even when people weren't, if there was a lull or even before, I would say friendly.
Right.
Most of them, any sport.
Yeah.
They were more friendly.
So what is the piece of memorabilia you would love to own?
Something, probably a game used jersey of Clark. Just because
I mean, it sounds
up.
like you'll be able to see him soon.
Just growing up, I always liked him. I mean, playing hockey in the street, had a Clark jersey, he was, and probably for people my age, he was probably the guy that people most looked up to or idolized as a kid.
Okay. Tony, are you ready to share your story?
Yeah, so a few years back, I'm still looking, by the way.
It was like just a year ago.
No, when it started.
Oh.
A few years back, there was a Roberto Clemente auction, maybe 3 years ago, but I had just blew a bunch of money on something else, so I didn't want to spend any more money. So he, in the off season, did like ceramics. It's like it's to pass the time. So there was like a set of a gravy bowl, pasta dish. I don't know what else was in there. So one day around Christmas time, I came in,
Is he shoveling coal?
and then
What's happening?
John O'Brien, our good buddy, came in and gave me this gift, and this is not that at all. I was.
It's exactly it.
It is not even close.
It looks a little bit like
No,
it.
it doesn't. I'll post a photo later for the viewers, and we'll do a poll. We'll decide how close this looks.
It's even got an RC on the bottom.
It says nothing. It's broken.
Oh, you watched
You're
it
lucky
off.
it doesn't say "Made in China" on the bottom.
Well, I got that sticker taken off of it.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
So yeah, so if
John O'Brien, I was digging the hole for you, buddy.
so I thought that was cool because he actually made it with his own hands, which is pretty neat. So yeah, if that ever comes along.
So yeah, needless to say, we have no gravy boat. Also, the money that he blew were on seats.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Forbes Field, Three River Stadium,
I
either
think
one of
so,
them.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to spend. I think it was like what, $200.
Yeah, it was only $200, but I didn't feel like doing it. And
But I
Horrible
mean,
move.
meanwhile, he spent $200 a couple weeks ago on an 18-foot flag that flew over Forbes Field. That is the city of Pittsburgh flag. So we are now the proud owners of an 18-foot flag that doesn't fit anywhere in our apartment,
Well, it could be
except
a
folded up
blanket.
in a drawer.
You use it as a blanket on your bed. You
No,
fold it up.
it's pretty. I mean, it's starting to fray on the edges a little bit. Obviously, it shows its age a little bit. So, no, just tucked away in a drawer because if anything happens to it, God help us all.
it's
So,
pretty rank too. It smells pretty bad.
yeah, it could use a cleaning, but you know. So yeah, so instead of the gravy boat, we now have this $5 one that John O'Brien gave him. Couple.
That was not $9.85 with shipping.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, $9.85.
Steve Harris, Jack Broder is making you
Yeah.
aware of a Clark authentic jersey on Golden Auctions at $35,000 right now.
Can we start a GoFundMe for it?
I will start a GoFundMe if you tell the viewers and all of us the story of one Cliff Lee and the couple of times that you got to sit with him, but not so much about that because you work with somebody. Give the story of how you know Cliff Lee and Cliff Lee's wife and when he was cleaning out his locker and all that
spring
fun
training?
stuff. So just give everybody the story. It's a great one.
So I work with somebody that is friends with Cliff Lee's wife, and they were really good friends with Cliff Lee and his wife, and they were down. He came home from, I think it was spring training, and he had his bag, and his wife was going through his bag after spring training and cleaning it out, and she's going through it, and she finds a paycheck in there and confronts him on it. And he's like, yeah, I guess I forgot about it. And never cashed a paycheck, just had it sitting in his equipment bag.
Oh, at least you still had it.
Yeah, he had it, but he just forgot about it. Just
Yeah, it was probably only for like $50,000 or something.
I think it was a
Yeah, you
little more
probably-
than that.
Yeah, you probably wanted to add another couple zeros.
Couple zeros.
But yeah, I think he even talked about it with the guy from work, and it was kind of interesting that somebody would forget something like that.
Well, when you have that much money, that to you is just kind of a
No-
drop in the bucket, I guess.
No direct deposit?
Well, this was I think this was pre-Phillies.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
Crazy Cliff Lee
God, what's he doing
back in
now?
back in Arkansas.
Probably nothing.
Where's Roy Oswald? Does he live in Arkansas too, or like Oklahoma or something?
I think he's in
Somewhere there.
Oregon.
Oh,
No, he's
I thought he was
another
like
one of them.
Midwest guy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They
Forest
all own
Farm.
tractors and farms and
Oh,
all that craziness.
I'm thinking of Jamie Moyer. I think he moved up that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit more familiar.
Yeah.
So some of you guys watched NASCAR on Sunday, but last night it was rained out, right? So it's on tonight or already started or something to
It
that
said it was
effect?
rainy tonight though too. Didn't I say it was rainy today again?
I didn't follow it up. I don't know.
I think they said that earlier. It was a little bit wet. I don't know if they'll do it or not.
So how does that affect the 11 days of 7 races? I mean, are they going to have to extend this out a little bit?
I would think they would reschedule it.
Gotcha.
No, I just consulted our my NASCAR contact, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
And who might that be?
Larry. He's
Oh,
a big
okay.
NASCAR guy, so I just asked him if he's what they're going to do with it.
So your other buddy Tim had a question a little bit ago. Let's roll back here.
Does
He was
Mike Schmidt?
asking if Mike Schmidt still live over at the by the reservoir.
I don't know.
And he lived in Media, right, John? In that
That's what I thought he
Media,
was there.
Delaware County.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
off. I
I believe-
I forget what the street is that goes back that way.
Well, I believe he's back living in Florida for quite some time now.
Okay.
Especially with that being open.
Our insider, Susan Henderson, says it's not on.
It's not.
No, that's what
Okay.
she said.
Yep.
So
She's got the clicker, so she would know.
she's obviously not watching Family Feud.
Or she just went on to the thing
Yeah.
and just flick the channel for a little bit. And Family Feud doesn't come on for another 7 minutes.
Oh. But
That's a
another
new
sport
one.
that's making some headway in returning is the NBA. I don't know if you guys caught any of that, but apparently Disney World is a front runner for the NBA to host the NBA to return to finish up the 2019-2020 season. I hadn't really had a chance to dive into all that, but would all of them play in one central location? Did any of you guys have a chance to dig into that?
I did not. No.
Yeah, I haven't either. I can't see how you're going to be able to do that unless you have, multiple. I mean, you're going to need a lot of stadiums or field or courts to be able to play that.
Well, and that was what do they have in Disney World that
They got that Wide World of Sports place, don't they?
and does
Yeah.
that have like 1 million courts?
Probably.
Oh,
I mean, you don't. I don't think you need 1 million. I think you just need a couple at a time, right? I mean, I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you have 15 games you would need to go on for that. If you're going to do it, so if you
Well,
have,
if they built that court for Jordan when he was filming that movie, can't they build some more?
well,
Probably.
true.
You know, I mean,
You're not,
if they don't,
you're
if
not
they don't-
sleeping.
I mean, if you don't need fans, so you could put,
It would
know,
be smaller, right? You'd be
they
able
could
to
be
get the court.
smaller.
and it doesn't appear in a quick Google search that they would all play at one location.
Right.
So
Yeah. I think it'd be tough. Again for all the players to be down there in one location, and even though Florida's opened, to have that many players down there to be able to. I don't know. I think that's the toughest sport to get back because of all the close contact with each player.
right.
And the least amount of protection. So NASCAR's getting ready to start now.
Okay.
So it just got postponed for a little bit.
Little rain delay.
So
Should be interesting.
at this point in the show, we're opening up for takeaways now. So Mario, what do you got for your takeaway?
I guess my takeaway from this show is there's a lot of stuff that I have, a lot of stuff I still want more of, just to collect and keep for whatever reason. Also know that I've met a lot of people, and thanks, Carl, for that.
That's what I was gonna say. Can't imagine how many people you have met.
Yeah, well, you've met a lot more than I have. So and especially with doing the show, got to sit and meet and talk with a lot of people. So I am very thankful for that. Thank you. Next.
John?
Just to follow up from last week, my takeaway on from Monday night, just to wanted to thank everybody who came out for the parade. It was very successful. The kids loved it. We had a good time with that. It was heartwarming to see everybody show up for that. That came out and supported the kids, and so that was fun. And
is there video footage of this?
Yeah, I have to see. Jen videotaped it, the whole thing, so I have to see on her phone. So I have to see how to get that out. So I think it was the whole parade was about a half a mile long. it went completely around our section, which is a half a mile loop. And as the last car was coming into our section, the cars were coming back around to do the second lap. So it was pretty special. And then all the people that were out honking the horns all day long throughout the section. Like I said, it kept me from taking my nap last night, but yesterday afternoon. But it was fun. It gave the boys some smiles and on their birthday yesterday.
Cool.
So it was fun. And then Jeannie accepted my friend request. That was
So which one is it?
I want to say the parade was definitely more special, but
Attaboy. Jen's standing right behind you, by the way.
She is. I was going to get smacked if not. And now I have to explain who Jeannie is. But other than that, it was good. Yeah, exactly.
Attaboy.
Steve?
Can you come back to me?
Nah. I'm in agreement with Mario. How lucky I am to meet so many people and celebrities and stuff. And that I can't afford a Clark Game used jersey, and I need your dad to pull some strings to get me one.
I'll work on that for you.
Maybe if we get enough strings, we could stitch one together for you.
I'll work some magic for him.
My takeaway is not so much about the show or anything that we talked about tonight, but maybe a little bit. But it's to congratulate all the seniors and all the kids graduating from high school, college, kids that are moving up from the middle school to high school, all the kids that missed out on all these great memories. Enjoy it the best way you can. I know parents are doing a lot of crazy things. John just commented about a half-mile parade for his boys, and just kudos to everybody for just bringing it all together and doing whatever they can for making their kids happy during this time. So we're gonna get back to normalcy, guaranteed. It's just it's gonna take longer than expected.
Tony?
Yeah, I think when we were talking about earlier about meeting the players, I couldn't think of one specific person, but you think of all the conversations and the little things you learn from them. Like when we went to Pittsburgh that time, Carl, and you had that someone gave you that Kenta Colby photo, and it was him in Little League, and he didn't, he never had seen it before. Stuff like that. That's fun. Oh yeah, Scott Hall. I forgot I met Scott Hall, the wrestler.
You didn't just meet him; you drove him around. And
Honda Civic. Yeah, that's true. We had Scott Hall, the wrestler, here for 2 days, and I got to chauffeur him around the state, which was a lot of fun growing up, and I forgot all about that. But yeah, I just miss those conversations and those experiences. Not one specific person, just everyone in general.
All right, and my takeaway, since she's struggling to post it, is this photo.
I remember that picture.
Her and Papa Von.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to murder you.
Yes, he does look a little murderish in this photo. Granted, if you note the time it was taken.
Oh,
where'd it go? Nope, it's right there. So for those that might not be able to read it, it was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So, granted, I don't know why we were up that late hanging out with Jonathan Papelbon, but anyways, so we'll give it to him that it was 1 a.m. and it was a post party for an event that we were at. So there's a chance there was a few drinks in the system at that point. But anyways, that's the photo. I'll try to post it later so you can see it a little bit. That's my takeaway for the night.
Very cool.
Very cool.
All right. So I guess with that, it is 7:31. We will see you Monday. Everybody have a good weekend. Be safe. And
Thank you. Have a great
You.
Memorial Day weekend, right?
yes, happy
Yeah.
Memorial Day to everybody.
So I guess we will need to decide off show how we're handling Monday with it being Memorial Day holiday setup. I mean, not that I have any ravishing plans or anything, but figure it out and we'll post about our next show.
Sounds great.
Sounds
Very
good.
Cool. Very cool. Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks.
See
See
ya.
ya.
Good night.
Peace.